I do it like they hear. I think I made it clear. Is there something wrong with your ear?
You know, he represents two enormous paradigm shifts, one before and one after the election. Before the election, imagining that he could be president. After the election, imagining what change is now possible. So I'm big on possibility. Major point in art, what is possible? How do we evaluate, notice, experiment with what the possibilities are? So enormous, given 8 years of zero possibility other than death and destruction, we now have a relatively open, maybe extremely open image of what possibilities exist. The thing that I got strongest from him, that gave me the most encouragement, he's the first politician I ever heard use the term mindset. And he says, because we're going to try to change the mindset that took us to war. To me, that elevates the entire public discourse to what I would call a different level of thinking. Because you're, number one, admitting the possibility that mindsets influence the way government and the way people choose their government. So to be able to simply raise that as an issue and question that is huge. When you talk about change, in my mind, you're talking about information. Information and change are inextricably linked. Every change generates information, and information is only information when it creates change. So change and information and time are inextricably linked, and they're also tied to creativity. The human community, which has been modeled on the, sadly, has been modeled on the American economy for way too long, American image of economy for way too long. So we're dealing with a structure that has sucked the life out of the earth, sucked the life out of the working class, impoverished and ghettoized entire civilizations so that greater and greater wealth can be accumulated in a few pockets. And the thing that I don't hear discussed enough is how that political economic reality is connected to the environment, because the ultimate human right is going to emerge as the right to a livable environment, the right to of your children to have a world no worse than the one that you were born into, and hopefully better. Frankly, I have become very disillusioned with many aspects of the art world, and even to some degree with teaching art, because it seems to me that these other issues, the environment primarily, the economy secondarily, are emerging as so important and so vital and so urgent that I question the ability of art to have an impact. But that's ultimately wrong-headed. Even survival requires creativity and perseverance and courage and imagination. So even at its most fundamental level, creative, whether you call it art or you call it craft or you call it creative problem solving, it's at the fundamental survival level of existence. And again, we seem to be opening up as that. I can take art that is not focused on the environment or focused on class issues or focused on diverse cultures or whatever, but I can't stand art that just pretends that that isn't there. I can accept something that's revolutionary or conceptual or challenging, even if it doesn't address what I consider my issues to be. But I'm tired of art that just almost pretends that that's not part of the issue, part of the problem. Political art that I respect over the last 15 or 20 years is emerging as more and more important, more and more vital. Artwork that challenges just public mindsets, obsolete concepts of industry and growth and economic discrimination. Certainly in a class where we're dealing with media, which is what I'm teaching most recently, we can really look at the way media has so many levels of bias. just bias inherent to the medium itself. Anything that's on a screen and is edited and put up as an example of something is already biased, no matter how objective you are. But the way economics biases the news, and the way media representations of minorities or disadvantaged people, just, they're not. We don't see ourselves on TV. We're given the message that we don't exist. That's all part of basic media education, basic media literacy. We're adapting to new technology so way faster than we can understand their impact on us. We're just beginning to understand the impact of television. We're just beginning to understand the impact of the automobile on global culture. So now we're adapting to weapons technologies and internet, digital technology, without having a clue of what their unintended consequences, unintended consequences or feedback onto the culture are going to be. So those are all part of the way we look at media, any kind of media, technology, communication technology, industrial technology. And I mean, the other thing that I start my class saying, the world has become so complex. And you guys in general, the people that come into our school in general, have not been given the greatest possible education. Culture's become so complex, moving so fast, it's ever and ever and ever more difficult for any of us to grasp a holistic picture of what's going on behind the scenes, or what ultimately do we all need to agree on to be able to change it up to some other state. And when you're 18 years old and you're addicted to your iPhone, it's hard to think about even how that object is going to get recycled.
Exactly, or not. Great. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
An earthquake, but no debris. Yeah, it's all clear. My music's too good, you're gonna bleed your ear. So, have no fear. Sit down, kick back, and have a beer. Baby girl, don't shred no tears. Stop waiting, cause I'm already here. And better come sync with me. Listen to this track, baby. You're lucky it's free. Get out of here. This is not the music that you would like to hear. I think I made it clear. Is there something wrong with your ear? Get out of here. This is not the music that you would like to hear. I think I made it clear. Is there something wrong with your ear? You got dope, donut on a table. I got no holes, man. I am a bagel. You're like satellite, I'm like cable. To make a long story short, I am able. Eeny, meeny, miny, might catch an MC by the mic. Lyrical is what people like. You and not, so go